So how do you say this word again?
Let's talk about nootropics.
Nootropics. And what is nootropic again, Mr. Chuck?
It's a substance, primarily natural substance, that is supposed to help your cognitive ability, whether that's your executive function, your memory recall,
Your drive, your ambition to have great workloads, whether it's your career or what we're talking about more fitness related and athleticism too.
Yeah, so this is something that we actually studied while I was a swimmer at Berkeley, while we were at the U.S. Olympic Training Center. There were various studies going on, specifically about one of the ingredients, alpha GPC, that's in this nootropic. And we're here to test this out for you. We're going to do a 5-day course of this, 7 pills a day, which is quite a bit, but it's all natural.
It's recommended actually, the 7 pills, and it talks about eating it before breakfast. So if you have an upset stomach, make sure you have food inside of you. But it does recommend 7 pills, and then it has 35 capsules. So if you do the math, that's a 5-day trial, right? And
so we're going to test this out, see how it affects our workouts primarily. Alpha GPC is something that's known to supposedly increase the speed of your neural link from your synapses to your muscles.
So the ability to change your thumb and pinky real quickly like this, right? Give it a shot, guys. And hopefully I can do that better as time goes on. But that's the moral of the story there. You know, your brain sends signals to your working muscles and the reaction time and the time it takes for it to happen. So
we'll be back here with some videos detailing our progress and also our final conclusions about this. Is it real? Does it actually help you? Is it just a waste of money? We shall see.
All right, brother. Well, did you already take yours? Because I had.
I took some this morning.
You
so
did. I taken
if
one.
you couldn't tell already.
Yeah, he's got all the info. All right, guys. Well, stick around and please enjoy.
Okay, let's roll.
This video is not sponsored by Essentia,
But it's the best water.
but it does taste very good. Hey guys, we're BodBox team here, and we are following up with our Qualia experience. Is that how you say
I
it?
still feel like I'm shorter than you.
Well, let me go and lift up my chest a little more there.
Qualia.
Qualia,
We're
yeah.
talking about our experience. This is also not an endorsement for the product. This is really just our test of one of the top nootropics.
Nootropics, yeah. And the cognitive functioning and the way that it impacts the body both in fitness realms as well as your everyday life is too.
Yeah, and I think our focus is really on the athletic performance side of it, but we've noticed from our use that this does have positive impacts on the rest of your life as well.
Absolutely. Something that you shouldn't get too dependent on, I feel. It does help out and it does show a significant improvements. For my example, you know, I like lifting heavier amounts of weights. And within 3 days of taking it, I did feel a little bit more drive, a little bit more clear-headed of my goals, and it allowed me to push myself slightly greater inside that realm, knowing that it can help me. Consider it a placebo, maybe not, but I genuinely felt that it did give me a slightly more understanding of connecting the brain to the body and the firing off on the neurons that it talks about.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I felt a similar outcome. I felt that it helped me get moving better in the morning. That might be due to some of the stimulants in the pill, which are, you know, including caffeine and taurine, to be specific. But I also felt like it helped some of my drive and focus in workouts. The one detrimental thing that I experienced was during aerobic swimming, specifically things that are working at aerobic capacity. I felt as if I couldn't breathe as well. And you mentioned you had something similar where your chest kind of hurt.
Yeah.
So these are some of the positives, some of the negatives here.
So mine being a weightlifting stimulus, which is a very small amount of time, but giving me that extra burst, no different than say a pre-workout or a drinking coffee, which is something that I'd like to discuss too, because there's so many factors in life, like food intake and coffee. But going back to the aerobic capacity, I myself hopped into a pool. I felt good, but it did create a little bit of discomfort in regards to the breathing capacity.
Oh, you felt that as well?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to blame it that completely. Once again, there's so many factors that were involved going into it that day. Yeah. For wrapping it up, I do feel that it does have its added benefit for the mind, right? It's not giving you the nutrients necessary to perform at your best when you do need to have protein, carbs, and fats in your diet. But going back to what it does for the mind and the drive and the ambition, there has been a lot less fogginess and more clear understanding of the goals and what you're after. And so I thought that was imperative for fitness goals. But from a physical standpoint, right, it does have a little bit of impacts in a positive, and we've both experienced a negative stimulus too.
And I think one of the things we can do here is break down some of the ingredients that might be producing these effects. I had mentioned before that we had tested alpha GPC. I had also experienced huperzine, which is one of the other ingredients. As well as, like I mentioned before, I think they have a coffee caffeine extract, as well as taurine, which is something that you find in a Red Bull.
Yeah.
So the question becomes, which of these is the most helpful ingredient? Which ones are we actually experiencing? Which ones, can create nausea? Because that's something personally that I experienced with this, especially when I was taking it on an empty stomach.
It does mention it in there, though, that if you do experience an upset stomach, that you should have food with it. So it's not recommending to take food or not take food, but if you were to take those pills and you felt sick, it's probably due to the food intake. So mind you guys, it's really important that you stay consistent with an eating regimen while doing this. Like, you don't want to make drastic changes in your whole entire life when you hop on that.
Yeah.
But instead of it's an added benefit on top of it.
So I think to kind of sum up our experience, we had mixed results, right? We saw some things that were very positive, both in workout and out of workout. We felt more fluent in conversations.
Yeah.
We felt more fluent in the movements.
Yeah. I mean, so going back in the conversations, just being a little bit more clear-headed and having those connections just firing off. I mean, I tested my friends and my people that I work out and my team that I go with. Like, if you put your thumb up and you put your pinky out, are you able to quickly switch it around? So for the viewers here, I don't even know if Chuck wants to try it right now.
I'm not going to try it because I don't think I can do it as well. But if you guys want to try it, give it a shot. It'll be a good test of how interconnected your synapses are to your muscles firing.
Absolutely. And so I do feel that, like, by taking said Qualia pill, that it did increase that efficiency and to be able to make those necessary connections.
Yeah. So anyway, we did have mixed feelings about this as a general review of the product, as a general review of Nootropics. I think this is an interesting example of them. And maybe some of these ingredients like huperzine, alpha GPC can be used separately to better effect.
Yep.
But we both experienced positives, we experienced negatives. I would say I'd recommend it about 60 to 70%, in given circumstances. Obviously, if you're doing a lot of aerobic work, extra stimulants might not help you. It might just create more stress on your body. If you're lifting heavier weights, that might be something that you want.
Yeah, in the fitness realm, or if you have a long day at work and you need to really hyper focus on something, it did. Okay, so the immediate effects too. So for somebody that's not taking it consistently, on day one, I did feel an impact already. Consider it a placebo effect, but I genuinely went to work and felt that I was more in tune with myself and the conversations that I was having with individuals. So it is something that you could utilize whenever you need to go do a job interview, or making these drastic decisions that you need to really hyper focus yourself on. And it's all natural as well.
But then the question also becomes, is that just an effect on your perception of how well you were communicating?
Would that be the placebo?
No, this would be just the idea that you can't really separate the construct of how well you're performing from your perception of how well you're performing. So maybe the caffeine plus the huperzine plus the alpha GPC or other ingredients made you feel like you're doing better. So we would actually need to run probably another test here, and maybe this is another video idea.
I'm about it.
But if we have a third party analyzing something like that
Okay.
to say, hey, is this person more fluent? Are they lifting weights better? Are they more fluid in their movements? And that could be something that BODbox looks at. So we could actually analyze your pose as you move through the movement and see if your pose is more fluid. So that might be an interesting thing that we can look at in the future.
I like it.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, we'll continue diving into these realms and learning more about these supplements that could, either positively impact you or negatively impact you. But at the end of the day, we are here to make every individual lead healthier lifestyles and better themselves both physically and mentally. So,
Peace.
see you later, guys.